Okay, Christopher, updates. Went through the key switch. It's clean, appears to be working well, so it is not the key switch. What I did then, suspect that one of these two coils was not like the other. Kidding. That this coil wasn't working was, as you can see, I switched the plugs and then switched the plug wires, and the bike runs. So that means that both the coils that you purchased are good. Both the coils are good. The actual issue is the signal coming from, if I disconnect this one, the signal coming from that one, the yellow one there, the signal from that one is inconsistent. It is not good. So I have to figure out what the funk is going on with that. All right, Christopher, this video is for you, and this is the findings that I've had on your bike. We have gone through the trouble of replacing the coils, and I've tested both the coils. They test properly, within range at least. There is power getting to them, but the issue is no signal. I initially thought that the no signal was a magnetic pickup, which is underneath this cover. I've checked the magnetic pickup and it appears to work. It doesn't mean that it sends a signal. It just means that that it does work. I've tested it and it tests properly. So don't know what to say about that. I then went up to the key switch because we all know the ignition is tied into integrally the ignition system through the key. The key switch appears to be clear and good. That brings me back down to, if it's not the coils, it's not the connector, it's not the magnetic pickup, it's probably the ECU, and that's this guy right in here. ECU stands for Electronic Control Unit. I'm going to put the phone in the tripod because I need both hands to do this part, and I want you to understand why it is that this bike is offering such a challenge. Let's zoom in here a whole bunch. All right. Try and hold this still. This is a power probe. You'll notice the back lights up in red like this. On the front, if I touch something that is ground, got to get this in shot. If I touch something that's ground, you'll see it shows green. And if I probe something that is, it's out of the shot. If I probe something that is power, whoa, my video skills. Okay, if I show something that's power, then it shows red. So green for ground, red for power. And I can't show you just yet, but that LED probe in the front there will flash yellow for signal and yellow and red for alternating. And that's kind of what we're getting out of this ECU test. So bike is sinking a little bit here. Let me just bring it up a touch. Yeah, that's a good shot. Okay. All right, let's get this bike going and I'll show you what I'm getting here. All right. So this top one here is the signal that comes from the ECU, or from the magnetic pickup. So orange is for the left coil, and gray is for the right coil. So there we have the red. Let me just make sure I've actually got this in shot. Yeah, you can't. All right, never mind this tripod shit. All right, so just back out here a little bit here. So there it is. There's the gray. That's the red one, and that's the cylinder that's firing. The bike is running on 2 cylinders right now. And now we're going to go to the orange one, and you'll see very slightly that the color is a little bit different. So let's go back to gray. See how bright it is? And then we're going to go back to orange, and you see how bright it is. And then this is the power supply that goes to both of them. And then the signal that goes to the generator. Whoops. I just shut it off. My bad. That goes to it. Every time I touch it, of course. There it is in ground. Every time I touch it. Okay. Never mind. The long and short of what I'm trying to get across to you is I believe after thorough testing of the magnetic pickup, the sending unit, the key switch, which I'll turn off so I don't kill the battery, the coils, which I've wired and tested thoroughly, the caps that I've replaced, all of the ignition is good. There are two issues. The first one, I believe, is the ECU, this box right here. I think that there is a failed circuit in it, but I can't be 100% certain because I don't have another one here to test it with, and there's no way to actually test an ECU of this vintage. Second thing that I think is an issue is the bike is not making consistent power to all of the ignition modules or components. So for example, voltage at the battery in the bike is running is at its highest, but this coupler right here, which connects the battery to the starter relay, there's quite a bit of voltage loss here. And actually, voltage at the coils doesn't actually get to 13 volts unless the engine is over 3,000 RPM. At idle, it's sitting down at about 10 volts, which is a complete fail, and obviously lends itself to why the bike doesn't run as consistently as it should. So a couple things I think need to be taken care of on this bike. One, we need to source another ECU, one that we know is good. And two, a fairly thorough cleaning of the components and the wiring from the battery all the way up to the key switch, through the kill switch, and back again needs to be cleaned up so that the voltage loss isn't so great. And the voltage loss basically is because of all of these connectors. Each of these connectors offers, from the vintage of the bike, a connection that is as old as the bike is. So in other words, they're not very solid or very consistent. All right. That's it, man. That's everything. That's as far as I'm able to get this far with the bike. Let me know what you want to do, if you want me to continue on this or not, because it's getting a little crazy. But that's where we're at.